everything is interconnected, right? So yeah, no one exists on its own. And with that, highlights, just 3 highlights, there are some changes on the IRCC policies. So the question now is, for whom and for what these changes, right? For the billionaires to have more money, or for us as the migrants. So yeah, so I would like to highlight the recent one, the changes. One, the proposed reduction of temporary residents from 6.5% of Canada's total population to 5% will be reflected in the 2025-2027 Immigration Levels Plan, reducing from 500,000 permanent residents to 395,000 in 2025, reducing from 500,000 permanent residents to 380,000 in 2026, setting a target of 365,000 permanent residents in 2027. And this is from IRCC News released last October 24, 2024, when former Prime Minister Trudeau and Honorable Minister Miller announced it last October 2024. Second one is IRCC announcement last August 28, 2024, which Migrante, pay attention to this. This is the first one, the cessation of the policy allowing migrants who are in tourist visas to apply for work permits within Canada. So that's also affected. And the third one is the cessation of processing LAMIAs, or Labor Market Impact Assessment, for jobs in the low-wage stream category for the Temporary Foreign Workers Program in some metropolitan areas. So for us, those are the 3 major new policies, although there's a lot of changes before, but these are the 3 new policies. So why all those things happening? And the first one I've said is basically everything is interconnected. So why we migrate in Canada? Because we want a Canadian dreams. And what are those Canadian dreams? One of that is basically, I asked one of the international students, Philippine international student, he said to have a Canadian passport, which is one of the most powerful passport in the world. But considering these changes, it's a big problem for us, and there's a big challenge, okay? Now, why do we leave our home country? Like in the Philippines, what that Hannah already had said, is basically, in general, in the Philippine context, poverty. Why? There's a poverty going on in my home country. It's basically globalization policies, or the neoliberalization policies. And what is globalization policies? We are living in a multipolar world right now, right? So globalization, as I have said, everything is interconnected. While we are addressing the issues here in Canada for the international students, regardless from the Philippines or from other different parts of the world, they're being affected by globalization. And globalization is a political and economic processes by industrialized imperialist countries, by forming blocks and territories and division of the world, a source of cheap raw materials, cheap labor, field of investment and markets, and a sphere of influence as colonies and semi-colonies. That's why we are, as I have said, we are living in a multipolar world right now. For example, before the G7, you know probably what group of 7 are, right? US, Canada, Japan, UK, Germany, Italy, and France. Yesterday, there was a new president in the United States, and how does it impact? But that's a different story, right? How does it impact the international student, right? The IMF, World Bank, General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, WTO, and NATO. Now, they're being challenged by another bloc. Have you heard the BRICS bloc? Right? BRICS bloc stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And there are different countries, for example, Saudi Arabia, are thinking that they would like to be a member of this new bloc. Right? So they have the policies like Shanghai Cooperation Organization, Belt and Road Initiative, the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, etc. And all these policies affecting the people or the working class, especially the migrants, especially the peasants and the workers in our home countries, in the Philippines. They just want the raw materials, the cheap labor. They don't want us to industrialize. Which, you know, Hannah already mentioned, the policies imposed by this globalization, for example, policies such as the privatization of the profitable public assets. deregulation and denationalization of the economies, mostly from the global south countries, where most of us came from. Liberalization of the economy, mostly from the global countries, such as accepting terms and conditions of general agreement tariffs and trade, etc. And for us, why there's an influx of Filipino international students in Canada? First one, the massive poverty in the Philippines that is indicative of the economic and political crisis in the Philippines brought about by these neoliberal policies by globalization. And maybe not only in the Philippines, but from your home country, just, it's time to sort of like reflection or to think about why we, in the first place, we migrate to Canada. Second, in the Philippines, there is a continued decline in the workers' wages, no lands for the tillers, lack of decent jobs, unceasing increase in the prices of goods and services, and worsening neglect of social services. Maybe from your home country, where you came from, is the same situation like in my home country. And the third, no genuine agrarian reform and national industrialization that will create long-term and permanent jobs in the Philippines. And the last one, what is to be done? So the changes in immigration policies are expected to result in let me read the excerpt from Migrante Canada. The changes in immigration policies are expected to result in an increase in unemployment among migrants, a further increase in the number of undocumented or those who will lose status in Canada, intensifying racism and discrimination against migrants, lack of access to housing and health services, continuous rising prices of goods, and decrease in the value of wages. Thus, this is not surprising that this will further push migrants in general to have 2 or 3 jobs to keep up with the high cost of living in Canada. I read that news before, a few months ago. They are blaming us for the housing crisis for the international students, right? Do you believe in that? That we are it's not. It's the policy of neoliberal and also the speculation of the billionaires who own this private housing, right? And did you know that the contribution of international students in the GDP, Canadian economy, in 2023 alone is 40 billion Canadian dollars. 40 billion Canadian dollars. And yet, we are the problem why there's the housing crisis in Canada, right? So think about that. So, what is to be done? Strengthen FISN by agitating, organizing, and mobilizing Filipino international students. Second, strengthen collaboration with other international students, organizations, or networks. Support the call for unity among all migrant workers for a living wage, because we cannot cope up high cost of living. So there's supposed to be a living wage, not only for the billionaire, but mostly for the migrants and for the working class people. Support the call for an end to the closed work permit tied through LAMIA, or Labor Market Impact Assessment, because this further exploits migrant workers and treats them as slaves tied to their employers. Support the call for regularization and status for all, especially for those with undocumented status. Support the call for the junking of labor export policy by the Philippine government. So again, it is our advocacy is tied back home. This is somewhere about the policies back home. Support the call for genuine agrarian reform and national industrialization that will create a long-term and permanent jobs in the Philippines. And support the progressive candidates for the upcoming Philippine midterm election that will happen in May 2025. So there is a midterm election happening in the Philippines in May of 2025. And lastly, Canadian economy will not prosper in the hands of billionaires, but Canadian economy will prosper in the hands of the migrants and working class people in general. The people united will never be defeated. Long live international solidarity. Thank you.